Another Monday, another episode. There's that compressor fucking up again. God. So I'll just fade it out by hand.
There you go.
Nobody will hear it once I mix it all down.
Like it never happened.
What happened? It never happened.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Trampling you.
Hey, we're Power and Speed. 908-751-0211. We're back.
And like us on iTunes and the Facebook.
Wow. That was a very convincing endorsement.
Yeah, really forceful.
Well, you yell at people, it doesn't get us anywhere, so.
Forceful. Hey, I just want to tell everybody, I started a new Facebook page.
Yes.
Power Speed Tom, because I guess, do they know when you, like, deny friend requests? Like, do people know?
I don't know. I approve everybody.
Yeah, I know you do, but I didn't because, it's a personal page and, I kind of felt bad about not taking everybody, but I wasn't taking everybody.
Okay.
So now I got a page
do what I do. I just mute everybody. New friend, mute. New friend, mute. I mean,
well, now I got a page, so it doesn't matter. So it's Power Speed Tom. Have at it.
Taking your cue, I changed mine to Power Speed Mike.
There you go.
Tad should just go with Cletus.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but anyway.
Barn Find Nation.
No sleep at all of them.
Hey, we got a guy in studio today.
Yay.
As we know, because we can see him. We got Dave Localio from HeadGames. He's been on before, but we've had such a rush of people wanting him back. We decided to bring him back right into the studio.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
So it's our privilege to have someone of your stature here. I'm busting. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Fucking Nitro Scott. Do you take liberal friend requests? No.
He knows the answer to that.
Go away.
And Tom, they don't know if you don't.
They don't know?
And that's kind of like discrimination if you're thinking, oh, I don't like them. And you'll even know them. You don't know if you'd like them.
No, I would take everybody, but sometimes when I don't even know the names. Like people, I get 6-7 friend requests a day on my regular page.
We're good. Don't worry about it.
That was uncalled for. And like if I don't know somebody, I don't take them.
They just become like they can see everything you put up unless you're private.
Got it.
I normally look and see if they're friends with Power and Speed or Mike or you or
Don't go by me, dude, because if somebody, I even found out that like I friended some marketing guys from India because they just showed up there. So it's confirm.
Because his page it's not even a real page.
No, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I will go on record and say never, ever, ever look for Mike's real Facebook page because it will never exist. If this podcast stops tomorrow, I will not go back to that.
We know that.
Probably will not.
We're going to lose you forever.
Yes. Although, bringing up Facebook, I got to give a shout out to a guy, Simon Hughes. This guy listens from the UK.
Go Simon.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's involved with a road course team, Big Skids. And he sent me a video today. I'm going to post it later on Facebook. Pretty badass. It's pretty serious. They're really going.
What did he do?
SCCA?
It's it's something like that. It's some kind of road course thing. Who knows what they got over there?
Isn't the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car, though?
No, I think it was actually on the right side of the car. He's from Bedfordshire, I guess. Don't you say it's Shire?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Could be.
But, he tells people over there to listen. He tells the people on his race team to listen.
That's awesome.
And we actually have, like, this past month, it's not a ton, but considering the amount of car stuff that goes on there versus here, there was like 10,000 downloads last month in the UK.
Crazy.
So I'm pretty happy about that.
I did notice that exponentially our Facebook likes are going up.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, did you notice?
Yeah, I've been noticed every day I get like a couple through the day, this person likes the page, this person's liking the page. I
remember being at like 950 and then 975 took like a month. And then to get to 1,000, we were waiting and waiting and waiting. But then it was
now it's starting to jump.
Yeah, I think we got like 100 in a week.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or not good, but I know you don't give a fuck.
All I look at are the downloads, and I'd like to see nice reviews on iTunes because I think that matters.
Sure.
And like probably one of the best compliments we got, as Dave said before, he said he actually got work from this.
Yeah,
which was pretty cool.
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah, the listeners have been really good about it. They email me. They say they love the podcast. They sent me work. I love it.
They sent you money?
Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that kind of goes in hand in hand with work.
Yeah. Well, they don't send us money. We got to start working on that.
What, subscription based?
No,
I think everybody give up $5 a month.
You think?
How about $5 a week?
I don't know about that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Listen,
I'll give you a couple bucks.
If
for being
everybody
here.
paid $1 a month, it'd be cool.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah, that would be nice.
listen. Oh God, if everybody paid $1 a month,
Yeah.
ugh, I'd love to have that happen.
I know.
You know what the problem is? That it seems like that's the death of a podcast. As soon as you make it a paid subscription, even if it's like $12 a year, people are like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, and
Because there's so many free ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm
the free
not
ones
doing
suck.
yeah, I'm not doing that.
I mean, I've listened to Sean and
Speaking of sucks, and speaking specifically about that, I'm not trying to trash these guys. I'm not. But
He always says that, but whenever he talks about Street Outlaws, that's the first thing he says.
but I got sucked into this Street Outlaw mega race thing or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
with what's his name?
I'm sorry.
Richard Rawlings.
I can't watch that.
No.
I just can't watch it. I mean,
Why, you don't think it's real?
well, I mean, I'm sure parts of it are real,
Yeah.
but I mean, you certainly have to know that, like, when they say, "Oh, we're 8 days away," and it's a bare chassis, they did more work than just like what time lapse there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry because I've done this. I know how things go. No.
Something's not going to fit somewhere along the way, so.
And that thing, you're going to tell me that thing with the Asian guy with the nitrous bottles? And
Oh, that was real.
I'm pretty sure it was real.
That was pretty
He looked like he was gonna hurl.
puke, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we met them, and they're pretty cool. Me and Dave, Dave was at the show that I was at.
Yeah.
And they were Asian was very cool.
I met him at PR. Well, I didn't meet him at
It
PR.
looked to me like Farm Truck watching it was like, holy shit, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Okay, then I
It
got to
happened.
ask, what the fuck goes on there? Because I've done a lot of stupid fucking stuff,
That was,
and I wouldn't have done that.
no, that was pretty bad.
I mean,
There was a lot of shit that could have
that
gone
was-
wrong there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
I mean, he half lifted off.
I know. It was, the chair was going up and down and back and forth, and it was going 100 miles an hour.
I was trying to say, is that a dummy? And then, holy
it wasn't.
crap.
Yeah.
Well, it was a dummy, but.
It was funny.
I mean, but and okay, that was bizarre to watch because I was like,
That was the best part.
and this shows you that you're getting older. Because I looked at this and said, this can't ever be good. There is no way this. I said, they're going to open nitrous tanks.
Yeah.
I said, my God.
Yeah.
And yeah, he took the fuck off.
And did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
He said, I was good for the first half second.
Yeah.
And then he didn't remember anything else.
That was a little bit of a brain fade there when all the blood rushes like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I tried watching it. I give them a little bit of credit because at least they're working on real stuff. But like I said, I guess it's hard to fill between the racing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our pre-show. Like
Yeah.
what are we going to talk about? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, this is our 101st show, and it is hard to keep getting content. I mean, it's a content-driven business that we're in. I'm talking like we're in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the biz. Sorry, Dave.
Content,
get it.
content.
And that's why we brought in you, and you're not even talking. Help us out. We got nothing to say tonight.
You guys have been doing nothing but talking.
I know. That's what we do
You're good.
because we're in the biz.
He's want to trample you.
I don't want to trample you.
Let's talk cylinder heads
Let's talk cylinder heads.
because that is your specialty. So, what do you got going on? What's cool?
I got some Lamborghini stuff coming up.
Ooh.
Direct injection Lamborghini.
Oh,
stuff.
nice. That's the 5.2 stuff.
Yeah.
the new stuff.
Yeah. They have this weird fin in the middle of the port that it cuts off half the port when I guess they're in part throttle or what have you. They're going to cut off part of the port.
They have like 2 injectors per cylinder or something.
Well, it's direct injection. It's single injector.
Right.
But I don't understand why they'd want to cut off half the port. And something that Ford did too on the EcoBoost.
Yeah.
They do it in the bowl area. They've just put this big ledge inside the bowl of a EcoBoost, and then these guys are putting half of a help me
Shark fin.
shark fin in
That's
the
all I
middle
can
of the
think of.
port. Yeah, I just
Is
don't
that what
get
it's like?
for.
It's like a fin and it divides the port.
Yeah, and it's in the intake manifold too. It has these flaps.
oh, so
You
it's
open it.
it's active.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you can like tune it.
so they're like tumble valves in the Subaru. Kind
It
of.
was kind of like that. Yeah.
They move there. They're static.
What?
Tumble valves. I don't know. I never had them in my
Of course
car.
they move. You putz.
My car's JDM. Don't have that shit.
But these go all the way to the bowl.
He got
Really?
it in.
Yeah,
It's a metal
JDM.
He got it in.
Damn right.
Fucking guy. That's his big thing. He's 100.
But you know what? My Mark 8 out there shuts off one intake port. at low RPM, it's when you floor it opens up both ports.
Well, I mean, I would think that maybe they're doing that for velocity.
Yeah, for economy, low RPM and stuff like that.
Is that JDM Lincoln too?
That's Ford, just junk.
Oh, USDM. Sorry, Dave. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times people underestimate the OEs. Like, we as racers long ago would think we could do shit better than. Well, for a long time we did. Aftermarket manufacturers made stuff better than the OEs, and head guys were smarter, and I know they still are smarter. At least for tonight. For tonight, they are. But you got to give the OEs credit. I mean,
some of the guys are really, really bright.
Yeah, and the money they have, just to throw at R&D, it is. It's hard to just dismiss what they do. I don't know what that's about.
Well, especially now you got the EPA with everything now, so you got to make every nickel count or everything count.
Yeah.
But they're doing a different thing than we're doing. We're trying to build horsepower,
and they're trying
not. I mean, they're trying to make a decent amount of power, but they're not trying to do what we're doing.
They're trying to pass emissions.
Yeah, they're working on emissions and power.
Well, I mean, I think in turn, if they can bring efficiency up, it doesn't always translate into horsepower, because efficiency could translate into backing off things to make harmful emissions, and it allows them to tune backwards and. Because look, I know it was funny. I was talking about this with somebody who really knew. He was involved in that DEF fuel stuff for the diesel. Mm-hmm. And I said, why is it that I put like the baddest ass program in my truck, and if I drive it like a human, I get better mileage? And they're like, because it's everything they do to make emissions okay. Performance doesn't always intersect with what the EPA wants.
Right.
But if part of the way that they're making fuel efficiency and everything come up is by overall efficiency of the motor, then that's got to free up more power if the motor's more efficient. Sure. I think it almost always has to.
Yep.
A low RPM. They're worried about just low RPMs.
Yeah, but like frictional losses and everything, that's all got to translate up high too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because they put DLC coatings on some stuff.
Well, I think he's more talking about
coatings?
With these fins and the sugar scoopers on the piston and everything. That's all cold start stuff.
Yeah, that's probably cold start, tunability, low speed, like driving down a highway at 1200.
No, it's really cold start emissions. Because they the DI stuff.
Oh, isn't that why they have that hole in the piston?
Yeah,
or whatever that we were talking about a long time ago.
Yeah, because when they start it up, they got to calculate emissions from the second the thing fires, and they're really bad. As you know, before they're warmed up,
sure,
they're not efficient. So that really disperses the charge of the high pressure injector. And after 1,000 RPM, my personal belief is, and we've proved it in 2 engines already, that it doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't make the car harder to start. It's just literally for cold start. Cold start emissions, yeah. And sorry to keep talking because I want you to talk, but just last night I got a text from Howard, and Scott Parker from Power Media is going to call me tomorrow. We're going to have a discussion specifically about that. He wants to do a story on Manly rotating assemblies and DI stuff. All right, one last thing, then we're going to get back to you. I'm going to make Fudd happy. I'm going to give Dave a Power and Speed.
Did you ever send me the addresses?
Yeah,
because people have hated on me.
Yeah, I did.
You did send
Yes, I did. Don't even.
I will go look. No, I'm not trying to blame you. I just figured it went the way of T-shirts.
No, I did.
That's all.
I did.
To which his fake Facebook account?
Yeah, I don't remember where I sent it, but I did send.
That's what happens when a retard with a home CNC machine gets bored.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Thank you.
That's sweet, Fudd.
You're so nice.
Now what you have to do is you have to weld a hoop on it and wear it on a chain around your neck for a year.
I can start rapping.
Yeah,
big gold chain.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about cylinder heads, because that's really what I want to know. I have so many thoughts and questions about normally aspirated versus non-normally aspirated heads, because everything that I know, for the most part, always came from the normally aspirated world, and it looks like when you get away from that, some of the rules change. Is that true?
I don't do very many NA combinations at all.
Okay.
I started at a nitrous shop, and then I moved into turbocharging stuff. So I almost never really deal with any NA.
Okay.
But I can tell you on the turbo stuff versus nitrous, that rule definitely changes. Because if you want something to run its balls off on nitrous, you're you're gonna make the exhaust port as big as you can possibly make it. Whereas it'll not run so well on the turbo combination.
Okay. What happens if you do something like, let's say you made a turbo's exhaust port too big? What's the effect?
It's not gonna spool as fast.
It doesn't spool. Okay.
But on the nitrous combination, that thing's gonna come alive.
Okay.
Like you almost can't make it big enough.
And what about the intake side?
The intake side almost doesn't really matter. You can make it small. Well, I'd like to make them a little smaller than normal.
Okay.
And why is that?
Velocity.
Yeah.
Velocity. I want that thing to spool as fast as possible. So I usually keep the port smaller. The exhaust, I do on both sides. I usually make the intake and exhaust port a little bit smaller. I keep a stock size valve if I can. I want everything to be. It depends on what it's for. Where you want the power. You want area under the curve, or you want something to go, 10,000 RPM, and you want to make the power up there. It's never going to see below 5,000 RPM. You can totally change that scenario.
Right, but specifically like what we're talking about with drag racing, you have to address, the spooling issue, like what it really takes to get your particular combination lit off.
Yeah, I mean, to even get it on the line, like
Yeah.
to even get the car to spool on the line without using nitrous. If it's in that class that doesn't allow nitrous to spool it, then you're in a predicament. You gotta kind of, if you're gonna be off, you want to be off small. You don't want to be off big.
I would agree with that, but the talk Mike and I have been having every other day off the air has always ended with me saying that I believe that he is getting too crazy on it, because we have enough cubic inches and small enough turbos that it's not going to matter. We're not going to have trouble spooling 67s with a 403 inch or 402 inch motor.
But the cylinder head selection is not what I would. The LS3 head, I think you guys are going to use, right? Or the
Yes.
L92
Yep.
head?
Yeah, L92.
Yep.
Just the port's just way too big. It's too big of a valve inside of a 4-inch bore. I couldn't sleep at night using that head.
Well, what would you use?
I would use a TFS. I would definitely use maybe a 235 or a 245. Something that would give me more area into the curve. I mean, you have a 2-165 valve and you're putting in a 4-inch bore or 430 bore, right?
I thought it was 465.
No, 4-inch. Those are 4-inch.
Oh,
The
they're
iron
4-inch
blocks
bore.
are 4-inch.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
4060 gets into the aluminum block.
I would never put it bigger than a 204.
Well, I mean, here's how I look at this. That cylinder head, what that motor actually comes out of, is a truck. Not only a truck, a 3/4 ton and heavier truck.
Yeah, like
the
a box,
particular one,
like a box truck.
yeah, the one I have is an LY6. So I think it's truck only.
Yep.
Like heavy truck only. How far up GM goes with them, I have no idea. I bought it so I could get the heads and the block all together. I'm going to throw out all the cam nonsense off the front of it and just, get rid of it. I see, I agree with what you're saying. I need to be, or we should be concerned, because its primary purpose is drag racing is coming up and being a street car. We need it to come up on boost. But by the same token, Tom and I were talking about the relationship. What were you talking about with Subaru? What size turbo versus what displacement?
Well, I mean, guys run 67s on Subarus all the time at 2.5 liters. And, they get them spooled up relatively simply, relatively easily.
Absolutely.
That's why, I was saying, okay, we're going to hang a 67 off each side. We're going to have more than double the cubic inches. It's not going to be an issue. I don't believe it's going to be an issue. And the trade-off that we're going to give up in low-end torque, which in NA application could be substantial, is going to be well overridden by the turbochargers.
I think it's going to be hard to spool. It's only going to make power from 5,000 on.
Yeah,
Like you won't have the area under the curve that the cathedral port's going to give you is going to be much more streetable. You're going to be able to tune it better. You're going to you have more cam selection.
Uh-huh.
You're going to, because you're not going to.
Yeah, we agree with that, but we may not be able to make the power we need to go 850.
You'll definitely make the power to go 850.
Well, we're going to have to agree to disagree.
I have upped my number to 1,700.
But either way, you can easily make that with a TFS 235 or a 245.
Yeah, we were trying to do it with GM stuff, I mean, that's why we bought
Well,
it.
then do a 243 head. Do the LS6 head. If you have to have a GM head on it.
Well, you don't have to, but I mean, part of this is that I do.
Yeah, I mean, we could have done anything.
I do pretty well. I could have bought an RHS block. As a matter of fact, when this all started, I'm like, Tom, get me one of them fucking blocks. Actually, this was when it was going to be a street car.
Yeah.
You know, get me an RHS block. He's like, they're expensive. I said, I don't give a fuck. I want the thing to never break. I want the right deal. But, you know, looking at what people have accomplished with the stuff they use.
With the 5.3s.
Yeah, with a 5.3. I mean, this is, you know, a 6-liter and now more than a 6-liter. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out.
And using screwdrivers to put the rings in.
Put the rings in, yeah. Sloppy Matt. I'm not saying I don't believe what you're saying, but I think I'm leaning more towards Tom, that I have a hard time believing that this thing is going to be a problem to spool at 400 plus inches with those two turbos. Because just thinking on my own, if you had a Subaru that was 2.5 liters, that'd be half of a 5-liter.
Yeah. So
that would be a 302. So that'd be 150 cubic inches per side. It would be like making a Subaru 50 cubic inches bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'd love to have that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would.
But where do you want the power at?
I
mean, you want to get it to spool, but like, where do you want it to get it to spool?
I would have to think, and again, I'm not trying to argue. I want to try to get, I want to be able to process this from my background, knowing what I know, or what I think I know sometimes. You think it's not going to make power under 5,000?
No. I don't think, comparatively speaking.
I think it's going to make it before 4,000. And that's based on the Subaru deal and all of them that I've seen.
How are we going to prove this right? How can I prove myself right on this?
Well, I would imagine.
Well, we're going to because it's going to be in the car. I mean, we're going to have an actual car.
So what if I happen to have some 235s at the shop? Actually, I have some ass-cast ported heads.
No, you'll either be right or wrong. If this thing spools and makes power with what we're using, then you know.
I'm saying it's going to the same thing that happens on the flow bench is going to happen on the car, whereas that head takes off right around 450, 500 lift. It'll start making more air. Or it has a lot more airflow than the cathedral port around 450, 500 lift.
Mm-hmm.
And it carries it throughout the range.
Mm-hmm.
And the exhaust port is marginal. I mean, because they throw that valve against the wall. So, I mean, it's not really, it's not in the optimal spot. So,
yeah, but with a turbo, it shouldn't really matter.
Well, it's not the biggest Band-Aid. It still have, I mean, if you still want to make, he said the optimal word he used was street car.
Mm-hmm.
So a street car, you want to beat the fuck out of that thing. You want it to always be there. When
listen,
down the road, you want to lay into it.
If it was possible to make the power level that I want to make and make the thing drive down the road at 1,200, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, but it's going to. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'll definitely go 850.
You're going to have a 9-to-1. You're going to have a 9-to-1 402 with a 4-inch arm in it with 240 degrees of duration. How could that possibly not make enough torque to drive down the road?
Starting to get in classified information there, Tom.
No one knows if any of it's true.
No. I mean, power to drive down the road, but again, I'll use my term nicely.
Yeah, nicely.
Okay. I mean, look, I have to admit, all this stuff to me is new. The only thing I can do is draw comparisons from other things that I have experience with, and that's it. I mean, I have no practical experience with turbochargers. The only person I've ever really talked to about turbochargers, like the guy Danny, the motorcycle guy, and talk about a bad situation. Little tiny motor, turns a ton of RPM. You got to make it stage and make boost and everything.
There is that other guy that we know.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, and I might as well ask my mom's dog. I mean, aren't you talking about Alan?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you're right in that. No, I'm talking about Anthony.
Yes, and I have talked to Anthony.
Yeah.
And Anthony was leaning towards smaller turbos than other recommendations.
Right. He was leaning towards 67s.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was actually leaning towards, and this is my problem. I can't have intelligent conversations about this shit because I don't know enough about it. But like there's 67 and 62 and 66 and 3/4. I mean, they put these numbers together and I don't mid-frame, small frame, giant frame. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of got the idea of V-band clamp because that's what hooks it together.
Got to have them.
But beyond that, I have yet to even attempt to dig into the research on this. So I have to rely on people that know more than I do.
Yeah.
I told him eBay.
On a 400, what would you use?
For what?
A 400 small block has a 4-inch bore.
Okay.
Name a cylinder head that has a 2165 valve and 265
Well,
cc's.
400 small block doesn't have 4-inch bore.
That's 418, 125.
A 4125.
Yeah,
All right, so we're even
4125s.
going bigger. Name a head. A
No,
small block head.
you're right. You're right. I mean,
There's
2 100s
nothing.
is as big as you can go in a 23-degree head, as far as I know.
Even you go 18 degree.
Well, I can tell you this.
It's not going to be. There's nothing that's available for that bore size
Yeah. I agree.
or that port size.
What's a
Agreed.
dash 12 RI?
A dash 12.
Yeah,
R.
Brodex dash 12.
Oh, he probably
raised
doesn't know.
intake.
No
He
idea.
probably doesn't know what that is.
It was a.
He's an import guy.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I was originally a domestic guy.
Yeah, I know, but
I come from roots.
yeah, but you were mostly with Pat. You were
I-
mostly big block stuff, no?
Yeah, big block stuff. But I personally own a twin turbo LS Buick.
Want to race?
And
Sweet.
so, yeah, 850s is pretty easy. I'm going to do that with a junkyard motor.
That's what he's well,
Twin 62s. It'll make 1200 all day with a stock cylinder head, stock short block. I mean, it won't last forever with that, but
Yeah, but amazingly, people got these things to last an awful long time. I mean, Jason Dozier put 1 million passes on his. And I
blowing
was,
them up too. In
I mean,
just
his,
intake.
his
but-
failure was because of the meth problem.
yeah,
The car, not
that's the
him.
problem.
I would like to. Well, here let's go back to this. What would I use? I did a 406 for a street Corvette in 1989. That might have been 91, but the car was an 8. I don't know, somewhere's around there. The car was a ZF 6-speed. It was the first 6-speed type, Corvette of that body design. We built a 406. We used a dash 12 raised intake. We did not fill them. They were a used circle track head that a guy wanted to get rid of because he bought Buicks. And he wanted to switch it. And those heads were on a 339-inch circle track motor, alcohol motor. So proportionate wise, the heads would be a little bigger than you'd want for a street car. But by the same token, you didn't exactly want a drag race head on this 406. That thing made 500 foot-pounds of torque at, I want to tell you, I thought it was like 3,300. And I'm pretty sure a dash 12, I'm going to tell you, I think that thing had to have a 2100 in it at the bare minimum.
but it had a small port. It had a smaller port. It didn't have 265 cc's. It might have had 245 cc's.
A dash 11
335.
RI is a big head.
Won't you look that up?
It's a pretty good size cylinder head.
Wait, I got something from a listener that we have to address.
And again, Dave, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to understand all this. That's all.
We're conversating. I'm not arguing.
we're conversating.
Yep.
We're matriculating
Jaw
through
jacking.
this. So, all right. Well, to change subject and have a little relief for Dave, we got a guy, Dirty Dave 67 says, thought stoking, which he meant stroking, I think. Stroking the 6.0 was not the smartest. Piston cocking on the downstroke.
He said cocking.
He did say cocking. I know.
couldn't
That's the
read
only
this.
reason I wanted to read it.
Immediately went to a Beavis and Butthead
Yeah,
reference.
I know. Yeah, Dave, just so you know, Dave, depending on the cylinder length, I don't know what everybody else does, but at Manley, we make pistons based on cylinder length, and we make the gauge point of the piston so it never comes out of the bottom of the bore. So cocking on the downstroke. And I'm not making fun.
Couldn't have phrased that
it's
any worse,
funny.
could you?
No. It's actually a good question.
No, and-
other than it's worded really funny.
But we talked about it. We talked about it in terms of stability.
Yeah.
Because the rod length that we're going to use will make sure that things
Exactly.
are kind of very comfortable.
Exactly.
And there was more thought put in it
Right.
than just,
And I should tell Dave that we actually shorten the rod up because we don't care about now we're giving out more shit that we should.
I really don't care.
I know you don't, but I do because I just want to be a dick. But anyway, Dave, it's a good question, but no, that's not true. I know the pistons we make, the gauge point of the piston does not come out the bottom, so it doesn't actually move around enough to unload the rings, which is what the problem is if you don't have a piston that's properly manufactured.
So that wasn't very cocky about what you said.
No, he was. It's a good question.
It's an accurate point, and we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it
yeah.
because perfect example. One of the things I said, Tom, don't you guys make like a 4100 or a 425?
Yeah.
And you're like, why the hell would you do that? That you're going to pull the piston out, it gets touchy, and
On a stock block. Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
So
So it's a good question. We love our listeners,
not bad.
except Alan.
He's going to call you. I'm telling you.
He's not going to call.
He's going to call.
All
Hey,
you got to answer is the
I
question.
should ruin it for you guys right now, but I'm not going to.
Uh-oh.
All right, so back to cylinder heads. So that thing, now that was a normally aspirated application. It made a shitload of torque. It was actually, and I just told Tom the story about it. It was kind of funny. It became hard to drive. We thought
it makes so much torque.
Yeah, made so much torque and it made it instantly. I remember, I might have been with Tad. Tad, do you remember any of that in that car? Because that was before you were scrambled.
Tony's Vet?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing was pretty fun.
Was there food involved?
No, there was no food
We
involved.
drove by. No, we never. We drove into 7-Eleven. Never Wake Castle.
Like there's a big hill that was like across from the old shop, a mountain. And we used to go up the mountain and I could drive up that thing in like fifth gear at like 1,000 and put it to the floor and just drive out of it. And that was about the only time it was nice to drive, because if you were like in first gear and it's one of those things that gets you into it pulls you off the gas pedal because you're not ready for it. It was so explosive. And that had a pretty big cylinder head. So I'm basing some of how I view this as that. And I mean, like, again, I might be wrong, but now back to what you said about the other heads. I would love an aftermarket head because I'm worried about deck thickness of the stock heads. Tom and I talked about that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They crack.
Lose gaskets. I don't want anything to go wrong, especially a head gasket.
Although the ones we have are 400, which is pretty thick for a cylinder head.
Actually, somebody asked me, it's like about the copper head gasket.
Same guy.
sprayed.
Yeah. That's a question for Dave.
Yeah, that's a question for Dave.
He wanted to know about using the copper spray on head gaskets.
What material?
What material? What head gasket?
Yeah.
I think he was just asking about
Stockers, I
yeah,
think,
anything.
Steel shim gasket. I would never use that.
No?
No, just put it on the way it is.
Yeah.
What was the name of that head? 12 what?
12 RI. Brodex-12 RI.
Now we're gonna make him waste his phone.
That thing had a down nozzle and everything in it. That was some crazy shit back in the day.
Isn't our technology guy supposed to be looking this shit up? He's got a guest looking.
Yeah, what
it
the
up?
hell does he care?
I
His
don't-
motor's done. At least going
and
together.
he's got 50 computers in front of him, and he's
I
got
know.
our guest looking something up.
I know.
They only got 5% left too, man.
Come on, Tad, get on it.
Killing me.
Brodex 12 RI, he'll do it.
Yeah, it's a pretty big head.
So Dave,
The biggest one they have there is a 240cc head with a 125 valve.
Mhm.
The one you're talking about was a 231cc. So we're getting right back to what I was talking about, where a TFS 235 or a 245 would be absolutely perfect for what you're trying to do.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is an LS1 head longer in port than a small block Chevy?
I don't know. I've never really measured that.
Because that was one of the things that I got into with somebody, because they're like, that cylinder head will never work. It was an 18 degree on a big block circle track thing. And the guy says that port volume's too big. And I was like, why? He's like, we're always around like the 300. That thing's like 335. And I said, yeah, but it's like 3/4 of an inch longer of a port. And if you're talking about overall volume in the port, the length has to be considered too when you're trying to draw a
RPM,
comparison.
yeah.
Because if you looked at like, what's a stupid short port? Like a Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ford's got a little tiny short intake port.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't compare a 240cc runner in a Chevy to a Ford because you're going to act differently.
Well, we're also talking about a cathedral. Same thing. We're talking about a cathedral versus square port. It's going to act differently.
Right. I like the idea of the cathedral heads. And the only thing that made me get the motors I made, now I actually have two of them because one of them came through and showed up cheap.
how cheap was it, Mike?
Free.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was nice. We don't need to talk about that.
Didn't Tony? What intake manifold was on that thing? Was this big Morosa or?
No, that was a Lingenfelter
Yeah, that's what it
L98
was.
style at the beginning.
What everybody wanted it back then.
Yep. And then we changed it into, what was that stupid, the
big
tunnel
box.
ram it's a manifold that the runners lay across each other.
Tune port.
And they were made for like multiple carbs sticking out sideways.
English or?
I don't know. You knew exactly what it was because the funny thing is that
Inglesi with Weber's?
Weber's.
I don't think it was called an Inglesi, but
They made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Well, did you ever see the stupid movie Transformers where the girl, Megan Fox or whatever her name is looking under his car, his hood, trying to get it started? That's the manifold.
Oh, no, but anyway.
But That's exactly. And then I think they were talking about carburetors, and it clearly had fuel rails on it. Don't even get me started. That particular manifold, if anything, made the response and bottom end worse. It got harder to drive
because they're individual
runners that we fed with logs, kind of like a Viper.
Right.
And that was
like a Hillborn setup.
It would be terrible.
Listen, I'm not ruling out. And what the hell do I care? I mean, I'll put those stupid heads on eBay, or maybe a listener would need them. I mean, I'll use whatever we think is right. I don't care. And I personally, when all this shit started, talking to Howard, he said, "Look, might want to get a set of Edelbrocks. They got really thick decks on the heads, and they'll keep the gaskets in."
I would never use an Edelbrock head.
I don't think Edelbrock has a cathedral port.
They do, actually.
Do they?
Really?
The cathedral ports are the ones they do. I don't think they have a rectangular port, ironically.
How? Oh, yeah, they do.
You sure?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Howard uses, I think. I'm not sure.
I thought he used it started with an M. Who's that?
Well, he uses mass, too.
Yeah.
I can't think of
Why aren't you on this?
But anyway.
That was
I got the products
that was an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Look up the Edelbrock head. I want to see.
Yeah, look up, see what Edelbrock offers for LS heads.
For the LS?
Yeah.
Their website does kind of suck.
Yeah.
In Tad's defense, he's going to have a little bit of a hard time there.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you take the iPad if you want to search if you want.
Tad, he's got to talk. You don't talk. So you just keep looking.
So, the thing that confuses me is we're talking about low end torque and area under the curve and everything. The LS stuff is very similar to the SB2. I mean, that's where they got a lot of the parameters for the port designs and everything, right? Mm-hmm. Especially the LS3 is remarkably like an SB2. Mm-hmm. And my SB2 stuff is plate stuff. And I don't remember the numbers, but I know that in SB2, they varied from about 270 to about 310. And I think I was around 290. And I think the worst port flowed at 750 lift, it flowed like 397. Mm-hmm. And you remember dyno in mine, and it made 500 foot-pounds at, nothing.
Yeah, like 900.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
It was crazy. So, I don't want to argue with my main head guy here.
I don't either.
But I just cannot imagine a scenario where with that kind of arm and that kind of a volume of air being moved that we couldn't spool, a small turbo. And people are asking exactly what 67, and I apologize. I'm like you. I don't fucking know. It's
67 millimeter turbo, so it's like a GT35R, which would be a Garrett. It's like a
it's like
a 700 horsepower turbo each side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
700-800 horsepower.
Yeah, actually, if you think about the so it's a 35R, so it's like a what the hell were they? What's the force performance version of that?
Oh, I have no idea.
There's a name. Why don't you know it, Ted?
What?
Oh God!
What? You got me looking at this. I'm not listening.
I'm sorry. Yeah, multitasking.
You realize you were trying to ask him to even do two remote things at once?
I know.
So that Edelbrock head's only a 215cc. That wouldn't work for you either.
Yeah, I mean Jeff Chang would know. Forrest has a version of a 35R that I think they make like 800 wheel, like on a Subaru.
And we put one on the Honda from Borg. It was kind of an experimental 67, but we made 9 and change with dynamic performance.
Oh, is that like a 450 or whatever? Is that what they call it in Borg? 450 something or
an S400?
Yeah. Their stuff's getting pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
I've heard that. I mean, I know it was always good, but I've heard it's getting better and better.
I mean, you got sensors on the turbo now. So that way you don't have to worry about if the thing's leaking. If it's being overran. You got a boost leak, and you can have a gauge in your car.
That's pretty cool.
That's going to save you much money from buying new turbos, or if they blow up and you're blaming somebody else for it.
HTA. Yep, that's it.
Well, I mean, I would think that from my side, I want the turbochargers. Like I had this discussion with Bill from Bullseye, and I still need to get with him on what exactly we're going to do here.
Bill Devine's a man.
He is. Good dude. Known him an awful long time. He wanted to know, or he was, what was he recommending? 72s?
72s, yeah. A 72.
Wow, that's a big turbo.
Well, yeah, because he said, I know you, Mike, you're going to want to go faster. No, this car has a purpose.
And he kept on saying it. And we're like, Bill, we know you know what you're doing, but believe me, like I'm telling him, like I know Mike. This car has a purpose. We need to do something. He's going to drive it on the street, and he's not going to need to make 2,000 horsepower. Yeah, but you guys, you just don't know. And
no, I do know.
And he's like saying, I do know.
The fastest I can go in that class is 850, and I have no desire or designs on going to a place like Lights Out or No Prep or whatever. I ain't doing any of that. Not a chance. So this is a street car built for this purpose only. That's all it has to be. So I figured if we stayed on the
smaller side,
on the safe side of small and turbochargers, that has to make spooling an easier thing to accomplish, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
but you could probably even go a little smaller than that and still make the power you're trying to. If you're only trying to go 850, how much does it weigh?
That's another big question. We never asked Travis Ray. I got to call him anyway because I gave his number to a friend of mine that's actually a friend from high school who was actually interested in his Corvette. It'd be really sweet if I got it sold for him.
Oh, that would be cool.
And the guy's got money.
And we got to ask him about that hood scoop too.
Yeah.
It's a C5?
Yeah, C5.
Fixed roof or?
No, convertible.
Convertible.
Oh, wow.
And yellow. Anyway.
Yellow.
It's probably like 3,500 pounds.
No, hell no.
3,300?
I think they're like 32 the way they sit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're not quite that heavy. But I mean, we were trying to figure out by the time we're done, you probably got 90 pounds in a cage.
I think we were at like 3,600.
Hot side, cold side plumbing, intercoolers, whatever happy horse shit you add to the rest of the car. I think it's got to end up being probably between 35 and 36.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Where we were. Yep.
So I think we figured we needed to be safe, 1,200 to 1,300 to the back tires would be nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would like to have the thing go faster than it needs to, so you're not leaning on it for all it's worth every pass. That was
it should be the plan is it's going to be an 825 car, an 820 car. So you don't know what the weather's going to be like there. You got some crazy day, you got to turn it up, and
it's there for you.
You have to be able to. Yep.
Yeah, you can't add it later.
Gasoline or
we don't know yet. That's classified.
E85.
It's going to be something that ignites.
And burns.
And burns, yeah. It's going to burn.
I'm working on a green still in my basement.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
We're talking to the Top Fuel guys.
Oh, come on. Now you're rolling it out. Jeez.
Now you just let it all out.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I think what we want to know more about is our next our caller here.
Oh, yeah. This is Don Summerton. So we're going to talk about TX2K for a little bit.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Because you guys killed it there. Don literally killed it there. You want to bring him in?
Yeah, he's in. What's up, Don?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey Don.
Hey, I was listening to your conversation about the 400 cubic inch.
What do you think?
I kept hitting my head on the desk.
All right. Well,
okay.
The big question is who was talking?
Who you agree with, Don? I
kind of agree a little bit against Dave.
Oof. The love affair might be over.
I'm just going to stop.
I've tuned a bunch of stuff with, like twin 67s, twin 72s with, 350 cubic inch, and they still drive fine.
Yeah.
Stock heads.
But where do they make the power at?
I mean, it was a street car or drag car?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We're building a street car. He wants to drive the car. And he lives in the mountains, so it's like...
Mountains.
The mountains?
The mountains.
Where the hell do you live?
In New
This is
Jersey.
the mountains.
It's 100 feet above sea level. Hey, Don, how big are the turbos you put on your car?
They're Force Performance, and they're 4580Rs.
So it sounds big.
Doesn't equate to Mike though.
How much power will one of them make?
1350 the tire.
And you felt compelled to use two.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine you'd use three if you could.
Wait a minute, back up. Each one will make how much?
1350.
And it's on what size motor?
What are you, 3.4?
183 cubic inches.
Oh my God.
And how heavy is that car?
2,800, 2,900.
Yeah. So what happened to you at TX2K? I saw the picture of the cylinder head.
Well, we had some fueling calculation problems with the nitrous.
Oof.
And it ended up being miscommunication between Shane and myself.
Oof.
About the injectors we had. So we had it. It was hitting so hard, and it was so rich that it was actually putting the flame out. So we were getting some nasty backfires. And this is on my big tire car, not on Jamie's car.
Yeah. Yep.
And we were working through it and leaning it out to get it on par. And then when we shifted, so that the primary injector and the secondary injector, work together in sync, and you tell it when to turn on and how to do the transfer, et cetera, et cetera. And when we moved it over, I originally had it at like maybe 2.3 milliseconds or something like that, and Shane was trying to take that out of the equation, thinking that possibly when they were switching from primary to secondary, there was a hiccup in there. So we moved it over to 4 milliseconds, like actual baseball width. And when we did, it finally hit. But then as soon as it would get up there in that 6,000 territory, it would kind of nose over and it sounded dead. Well, with the methanol and the EGTs and the air fuels and all that stuff just lies to you. So everything looked fine in the logs, but, push come to shove, when it was doing the switch from the primary to the secondary, there was a miscalculation in telling the computer how much comes out of the primaries and how much comes out of the secondary. So we were off by a solid 35-40%.
Oh,
Secondaries came on. So, it was substantially lean on, a good, pretty healthy shot of nitrous.
wow.
It's picky as can be with methanol anyway. If it's not right, it's not right. It hiccups and it does all kinds of weird things and it burns stuff. So
Well,
we were off a fair amount. We're usually on the rich side of things, but we were on the very, very opposite end of things. And it, we did it maybe 8 or 9 times before it actually let go. But we ended up torching a hole, in number 6 all the way out of the back, and it was in a previous repair spot too. So I had an issue a while ago when the motor was on gas, where I'd lost a gasket. So that same spot that was welded and repaired, it found its way through that same hole and got the back of the head.
So
it was fixable.
did it kill the block?
Didn't touch the block nor the head gasket.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, the head gasket was. I was expecting when we pulled it apart. Had I known it was just a simple deal. Dave, would have probably resurfaced the thing at Sam or something like that, and I could have welded it up and we could have went racing. But I just didn't. I've never seen one torch like that where it didn't take out the head gasket and everything else in the process.
Wow.
But, I would take the head. I took the head gasket off and there's nothing on it. I'm like, geez, we could probably reuse this thing.
That sucks.
Yeah, the whole reason why we were talking, we're like, should we do it? Should we pull it apart right now? And like, where are we going to get a copper 2JZ head gasket tonight? Like, it's just not going to happen.
Friday.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. It was like Friday night.
Yeah.
So
I wish I would have had spares, but SCE had screwed up the order. So
the short block's okay.
Yeah, short block's fine.
So I still can't get.
To the there's a little bit of, it dropped porcelain on that cylinder, so there's some imprints in the pistons from the porcelain. But,
You should probably put a set of pistons in it.
I already knew pistons.
I know a guy.
First,
I know a guy. Telling you.
we got to make it. Remember that we got to make a new design. It's not the off the shelf stuff.
I know a guy. Anyway,
I just got to give you the measurements.
that's it. Well, better luck next time. But you had some good luck with your other car, or the other car that you manage.
We had good luck once.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it broke. It wasn't your fault that it broke, right? It broke the block.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it. It may not be an isolated. It's an isolated incident for us. We've never done that before. But there's certainly other people that are having that issue that have been breaking the blocks that way. And I'll get to the bottom of it before I bolt the head back on it again. But seems like everybody else just throws them out and starts over. Nobody's even tried to fix it.
Interesting. Well, you tell everybody, or Dave, why don't you talk about that a little bit, because you guys are all involved, and
I want to know more about
should be proud
like
of it.
that particular cylinder head. Like, what can Dave do for guys that are looking to do this? That's kind of what I want to know. Like, how do you go from point A to get to where they are now?
Well, tell them about Jamie's car first of all, Dave.
Well, Jamie's car is a 98 millimeter turbo Super with an IRS. It's a race car. so it's not like a
But
not a street car. At
But
all.
it's stock suspension,
stock suspension, stock style suspension. I would say.
independent.
Yeah.
Good.
183 cubic inches, right, Don? I think it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. It's probably 190.
Cylinder head wise on the car is actually a head that we used back in 2002 or 3 with Bullish Motor Racing. They had Toyota Solaras that we used to race back in the day, and Jamie needed a head to make MIR, I guess, in 2013 or 14.
Now, is that similar to the production head that would be on there?
They're
Like,
always production heads.
so there is no
There's no
Dart or
aftermarket.
AFR or anything like
No.
that for this.
No.
Well,
Which
there is now, but
Well,
just,
just
we're
a
just
billet
recently a billet, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you get in a billet, that's like not even.
Yeah.
That's not even the same.
And they're brand new. I mean, I don't even know what 2 people running them.
Yeah.
It's been stock heads forever on the 2JZ is ridiculously crazy motor, good motor. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the head's ported. It's got cams, and we use factory buckets. It's a 1 millimeter oversized valve. Don builds the motors for it. It's got a turbo 400. I think Don can talk more about the car itself. I can talk about the cylinder head. Go ahead, Don. You
Well,
talk.
I mean, the car's got, it is a 400, but it's kind of a next gen, 400. It's a close ratio, runs a first gear like a glide, runs a second gear, splitting it, and then a 1-to-1. And then we switched to doing a newer style chance converter with a lockup in it. And we're still sorting out, the issues with that. Our biggest problem now is with our previous converter setup, we would go through, at 198 to 197 mile per hour, would be at like 9,500 RPM through the traps. But now that we have the ability to lock it up, I mean, that drags the motor down to about 8,000. So one thing we learned in Texas in one of our passes is that we're just going to have to change the rear gear. We're going to need to bring the thing up into the power band some, because locking the thing up at 8,000 is dead. And there's just not enough RPM to do anything.
Wow.
So did you find that, a numerically lower, well, you always use that term because people get confused by it, first gear was actually better? Like, because did it keep the motor loaded? I mean...
I don't know if it was better. Previously it was a 246 first, traditional like size. And we were shifting, basically in the 60 foot. So the thought was we would go to like a 210 or something like that would get us past the 60 foot and then shift. And then we're like, well, let's try out this new close ratio thing. Well, the close ratio thing was the first time we had tried it was in Maryland. So, I mean, the first 5 or 6 passes, we were working on our old timers. Everything the car does is based on a time-based system with the trans brake. So we were running on all of the shift strategies, all of the shifting strategies, all the RPM-based strategies. It was all based on that 246 first gear. So, we did, 7, 6, 7, 8 passes in Maryland. None of them were ever right, because every time I was trying to catch up with what the car was doing, trying to move things over to get, reaccustomed to this new gear setup. I was moving the limiters, I was moving the shifters, I was moving the RPM. I mean, I was moving things around at the same time and trying to tune the car, because it was so loaded up now with the lower first gear that, I mean, it was never going to run, quote unquote, correctly in Maryland, because I didn't have enough time to dial it in. But after you're done with the race, you get to sit down and go over the data. And then once you go over the data, it's simple. It's far easier when you're out of the race edition and you're not worried about it. Where, I mean, you could I can look at the data and I can look at the timer and then just do the math, transfer that over into the table. And that's what we did. And then, we threw the 275 Pro drag radial on it because we wanted to run some 275 stuff this year. So like, all right, we'll go off of the data that we had from Maryland in the last pass, which is like a 731 or something. All we did was put the drag radial on it. We took it out of the trailer in Texas, rolled it up there, and then made our first hit. The thing went 722 at like 103, 104, something like that, Dave.
Yeah, and the car used to hop. You would watch on the slick, the car would squat, it would unload, and would come back down again.
Sidewall's weak, yeah.
And then when we put the radial on it, I mean, a lot of people made memes of the video of Don, but he was probably looking at the car just goes. On the radial, the thing didn't...
Just drives away, right?
It just moves. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, Don, explain that look on your face.
That's oh shit face.
It was, it wasn't like I was excited about the car going fast. it was a holy shit. I didn't expect the tune-up from Maryland with the slick to transfer over into the dragger to work on it.
Wow.
We thought it was going to blow the tire away.
Yeah, I figured it would blow the tire away. Why wouldn't I? We went to a tire that's what, inches wide or something, 275 inches.
No suspension settings changed. Nothing.
Change suspension, no nothing. And I guessed that the air pressure. I didn't know what to put the tire pressure at on those. I don't know. Let's put it at 15 pounds. And see what.
Well, Jason did the
15 pounds.
Sorry, I'm getting signaled.
Distracted.
Jason did the track, right?
Correct.
So I mean, the track was probably killer. And I guess, was there a mixture of slick cars and radial cars?
Yes.
So he probably had to strike a balance. So you guys probably just hit it right.
That's a bad motherfucker.
Well,
by the way.
not
Jay Miller,
Yeah,
I
that's a
know,
bad
man, I know.
right. When we came up that night, we were very late in the day. I mean, there was dew out, and we couldn't keep it off the windows. It was. I want to say like 11 o'clock at night, and the car in front of us put some water down. So immediately, when Jason saw we were the next car to go, he went out there and cleaned it up, and he also scraped the line. So I mean, it was maybe a little bit more ideal than it would have been for the next car, just because we were the next car to go after a little bit of the cleanup. But then again, it was so late at night, the dew was settling. I mean, it's hard to say what the dew was doing. I mean, the track wasn't sticky, not like it feels like in Maryland. The following day was gummy. I mean, you could walk on the track and it just felt like slime. But that night, I mean, it was sticky, but not Maryland sticky. I feel like if it would have been his track, it would have been considerably better.
See, that's weird because from what I know, they want it like really sticky for the radials because you can dead hook them.
Right. Yep.
During the day is a different setup, is what Jason was saying.
During the day is entirely different.
Yeah.
We learned that the hard way. This our second hit.
Yeah.
We went out there with the same tune up card.
Got it. And when did it break the block?
Third hit. Yeah, we went out the third hit and still made a decent pass. I mean, it was like a 1.20 60 foot, and then somewhere in the 60 foot, it dropped the front cylinder, cracked it off at some point there. I heard it 60 foot drop. I turned around and started.
Still went 787.
Yeah.
760.
760.
Don, you if you can keep your I think you're moving your phone or something. You're fading in and out, which on a phone call is okay, but on a radio show it's not optimal.
I'm out in the sticks too, so I'm actually outside because I couldn't get service in my house.
Oh, okay.
Radio show now?
Shut up, Ted. What would you have called it?
It's a podcast, man.
Okay, same thing. Anyway, well, I mean, to go 722 at 194 or whatever it was is, I mean, that kind of
Impressive.
On 50 pounds of boost.
shocked the world. It was pretty
And
cool.
the car runs 80.
What's the IRS number?
712 is a record.
So it was,
world record.
So it was that close.
Yeah, we had the country record, and then going for the world record was just to pass away.
And you have the dark blue car record.
And dark blue
Yeah, for sure.
with black wheels.
Black, right.
What color calipers? Makes a difference.
No, not in, in Supers it doesn't. Well, that is awesome. So what do you got going on coming up? Anything?
We're going to go to the next race here in a few weeks, beginning of April. That's going to be our next race. So we're going to try and get power back in. Even if we don't get the 60 foot, I know we'll have it when we go to Maryland, just because the track's going to be better. But I mean, I got to find horsepower. I mean, the only reason we didn't go faster, I mean, like Dave said, we were running 430 kPa. So I mean, it's somewhere between 45 and 48 pounds, where we usually run 650 kPa. So I mean, we were down 30 pounds of boost, which is why the car went 150 mile an hour in the eighth versus 163 in the eighth, and then it just didn't follow suit on the top end of the track. So
isn't that funny? Like, we're talking about doing a car that's going to run 25 pounds of boost, and you were off 30 pounds of boost. My God.
I mean, you can't. Of course, it doesn't come across on the podcast. But you say, well, we're off like 30 pounds of boost, and I'm just shaking my head like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is crazy because you just said it before. You could be at a bar and tell somebody, yeah, my Corvette outside, that thing makes 1,200 to the wheel. So they're going to be like, My wife's 2JZ car makes that.
Yeah, right. And it's only got 6 cylinders. Yep, it's funny.
I would rather say we had less boost and just more motor. If that makes you guys feel any better.
Yeah, but you got what you got.
I would take 400 cubic inches all day long.
Yeah.
35.
Well, yeah, we're hoping it's more reliable. Who was driving the car? Was Tony driving the car?
No, Jamie. Actually, I'm sorry. I don't know who was driving the car.
Classified.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I forgot. We had that ringer driver.
Got it.
That was there.
Okay, enough said.
Discuss.
He owns the
Dave
car.
can fill you in.
Whoa. Okay.
Alex should be listening though.
The shoe. We'll just call him. We'll call
The
him.
shoe.
We'll call him the shoe.
Hollywood shoe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Oh, you have any questions for Dave? You know, he's a high-profile guest, man.
Oh man, I mean, I can't think of anything that Dave and Ellen don't talk about on a daily basis.
Text each other all the time.
That's true.
Mostly just hugs and kisses, though.
More
Yeah.
kisses than hugs.
You guys are good like that.
You know, our little group texting stuff is nothing like that whatsoever.
No, it really isn't. All right. Well, we are. Well, tell you what. Plug your deal, just because we got another guy on hold, and we got to get more information out of
Not a
Dave.
problem. I got to go anyway. I've got my daughter inside. My wife's watching right now. She's sick with a fever. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hope she feels better.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'll go give her some ibuprofen.
Do that. Well, give us the name and phone number and all that stuff, just for the hell of it.
For who?
For you. We know our number.
Me.
Accelerated
Oh,
performance.
to the shop. The shop is Accelerated Performance, and it's 419-474-7170.
Yeah, it's all our 2JZ listeners, man. That's
Specializing in 2JZ
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much.
The baddest
I got
2Js.
Not a small block stuff anymore, but that's just like recently I'm getting all the small block spillover from other places that screw stuff up.
Well, we'll point people at you. Hope your daughter feels better, and good luck with that. And I'll be in touch. I'm going to call you.
See you, Don.
Okay, I appreciate it, guys. You have a good night.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Smooches from afar.
Yep, take care.
So
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'll have to make sure that little piece of audio is ramped up enough
Yeah. I know.
to hear that one.
Oh man,
Smooches.
He's really a good guy. Apparently, he's a good golfer too. I didn't realize that. We talked about golf a little bit, but I think I saw something on somewhere on a web.
Where are they from?
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay. I think I knew that.
Yeah, he's a bad dude with 2Js.
What do you use for ECUs and those things?
Motec.
Yeah.
What?
Motec. Yep.
I didn't hear it either. So until this,
Yeah, he said Shane T.
There's only
Only
one Shane T.
It's only one Shane T.
Mm-hmm.
And he only tunes one thing. He told me to fuck
Okay.
myself when I asked him about tuning my Holly.
Ooh,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's really
Fuck
against that.
Yeah, he's against anything.
Well, I mean,
Other
he's
than Holly.
he
I mean,
worked.
isn't
He
Motec.
worked for Motec, and he's a guy that he's. We have to have him on. We got to try to get him on, and I think we can. But he apparently is like the real deal. Like he can do anything. Like you give him a race car, and he could figure out the wiring harness. And if you tell him you want to have a 2J start a big block Chevy, and you want 2 turbos and a supercharger and 4 nitrous systems, he can figure it out. Maybe not that ridiculous, but
No, I know what you mean.
You get my point. He's the man.
And the Motec stuff is probably considered, towards the it's probably more refined than what the average guy would need.
It's considered the best of the commercially available stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I know there's some McLaren stuff that's really high end.
Yeah, because McLaren, I believe, makes the cup stuff.
Yes, they do. And I don't know how high end that is, but you got to believe that their F1 stuff and their offshore stuff is pretty damn sophisticated. And I could be wrong. Motec stuff might be right there. I don't know, but I know for commercially available stuff, it is considered the best of the best. You want to pick up that caller?
Yeah.
What's up, Tad?
I was gonna say should we ask Jeff Chang, but
Tad was going to talk.
yeah,
It's crazy.
I don't know why now.
why not?
101 shows later.
Why is this guy saying I watch too much Street Outlaws?
You might.
I don't.
More than me.
I watch every episode.
I saw the video.
Do you really?
I feel
Yeah.
for you.
Absolutely.
I saw the video of
love it.
Asian today.
Oh, spinning around in a chair?
Yeah.
I get to watch that on TV.
Yeah, me too.
They were catching up to the big reveal tonight at like 9 o'clock. So of course we have to be finished by 9 o'clock. So I have to glue myself right to that TV. I gotta see it.
Wow.
Ugh.
I met Farm Truck at PRI.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the bathroom together.
Oh boy.
And I'm like washing my hands, and he's washing his hands next to me. And I felt weird calling the dude Farm Truck. I mean, he's next to me. I wanted to at least say something. I met you.
Did he say?
So
you
I
missed
was
a
like-
spot. Want me to get it?
I was like, "What's up, Sean?" And he stops and he just stares at me. So I'm still washing my hands, and then he's still staring at me. And I was like, "You don't know me, dude." And he just got this look on his face, like this really angry look. And he's like, "It's Farm Truck. You understand me? It's Farm Truck."
Did he say that?
Yeah. And then he walked out of the bathroom.
For
I was
real?
Like, man, that
like,
dude,
was he mad?
he was pissed.
I'd have told him to fuck off.
Yeah, I
He's
would have
like-
too.
I would have, straight up.
He's like really into character.
Oh yeah, that's what I saw when I said
That's in the
PRI.
character.
Him and Asian.
See, that gets a little weird. Like if the guy's like, I'm Farm Truck. I
Yeah,
mean,
like-
what? Did he tell all his friends now? You all of a sudden you got to start calling me Farm Truck?
Can you imagine
Probably.
being in the bathroom with somebody like, "Hey, Farm Truck"? You call him Sean.
Excuse me,
What's up,
Mr.
dude?
Farm Truck.
Yeah.
Where's Asian?
They happen.
I mean, I don't want to toll on the guys, but it is getting a little ridiculous, isn't it? I'm sorry. I just
Well, the people that are
stop.
on
Dude,
TV and movies, they want to go by the name, that made them famous.
I don't know. I think most of the guys are pretty damn cool. I mean, me and you, how much time we spent at Daddy Dave's place?
Dave was upset we were leaving.
He was the coolest guy.
We were there for a couple hours.
Well, if you remember, no one had seen his first Nova that he crashed,
Mhm.
and he took it out of the trailer for us.
really.
Yeah, I got video of it. He was the
Pictures?
coolest. He still is, in my opinion, the coolest guy there.
And you know what, Mike, you and I didn't see it either. So thanks.
Killing me.
What?
I don't know. Viper.
I mean, did you derail? Like, should we go back like a couple
He said
minutes?
he had the thing. Nobody else has seen it, and neither do we.
I actually understood what he said.
Then you've been spending way too much
I know,
time with
I
that
know.
because
I'm
I'm
gonna
still
start-
kind of lost.
I'm going to say my safe word in a minute.
Call me Farm Truck.
I think I think that those guys they're probably in kind of a strange position because this isn't a paying gig, right? Like I think it's been said numerous times.
No, they get paid.
What for appearances
No, they get paid.
on the show now?
Yeah.
I thought that
No,
wasn't.
but they've always got paid. They claim it wasn't a lot,
Yeah,
and it may not have been, but
Listening to their show, they're claiming, "Oh, we don't get paid." It's like, oh, okay.
nah, they get paid.
all building new cars.
Yeah, I mean, they're all,
Everybody-
listen, they don't accidentally switch hats every 5 minutes and,
you
every
noticed that
scene.
too because
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty.
And blur out other people's
Of
shirts.
course,
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
pretty
Well,
lame.
Well, it's pretty smart, though.
Yeah, I guess it is.
It's how you
but-
get paid.
and that would be what people would generally call a sellout.
Well,
Well,
I mean-
I guess.
I'm not. See, you got to get me off this because I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to hate and I'm going to get worse. And there's really no need for that. I mean, if you enjoy the show, watch it.
It's great for our sport.
It is.
It's
is
brought a
a-
lot of
it's a sport.
notoriety.
And, I'll still say when we went there, neither one of us thought it was as real as it was.
Yeah, the screeching noise. When I heard the screeching
Wasn't that freaky?
on the TV, I was like, man,
Yeah.
they're putting that sound bite in there. I ain't going to make that noise.
And then
It
Chief's
made
car. We looked at each other like, you got to be kidding me. It was all the way down the track, screeching. You couldn't make it up.
well, Chief was bitching on his show about the motorcycle sounds and the Formula One sounds. He goes,
Well,
they just dubbed that in.
At one point, they
Yeah.
did, like maybe in the first season.
Yeah.
Like you had a guy sitting in an editing bay that doesn't know what a
Okay,
car sounds
this
like.
sounds like good.
Yeah, so he went on, Google and said, motor going fast, and he came up with a, Suzuki 1200 or so,
Or that Renault fuel injector
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
We're going 21,000 RPM. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they shift like 70 times in an eighth mile.
Just like Fast and Furious. So
Yeah, I mean, so I can understand that side of it. I don't know. It probably is good for the sport because it raises awareness. I guess I just like stuff that's maybe a little more serious. That's all. But again, if we went back to serious, I don't know if you could fill the time slot.
There's no drama. There has to be drama.
Why does there have to be drama?
That's
mean-
what makes it interesting.
call me Farm Truck.
Yeah, like call me Farm Truck.
I would like. I don't know. I know I'm fucked up. I would like to
Yeah.
learn stuff. I would like to. I mean, like the times that I pay attention to the show is when the guy's hood off. You know, his hood's off, or they're working on a car. I'm like, oh, look at that! It looks like Chief's got a burst plate in the front of that manifold. Like,
Sure.
But you ain't gonna hear about it.
Sure.
The Power Nation doesn't make as much.
Yeah.
They don't make as much publicity or advertising dollars as Street Outlaws does, and that's what we're talking about. The two different, where you're learning something versus
Yep.
Well,
just watching something.
When he got that GTO and he's putting it together, all he was talking about is that rear end with how many splines in the axles that'll take 3,500 horsepower. And okay, you just watch them assemble the rear end, and that was about it. And then
Yeah, but that was a TV commercial. That's what that was.
was it even? Damn.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
because I think they did
no,
mention
that's
Mark
what it
Williams
is.
a lot of times.
Yeah,
didn't they?
yeah. I mean,
Sponsor.
listen, they have to do it, and they should do it. I mean, we're hoping to do it someday.
It was a nice rear though.
Yeah, it is. That car's nice.
Well, even though it's the last one that he found at the middle.
This is the problem that you and I have discussed about getting an advertiser
I know.
or two for the show.
Mhm.
I'm never going to be that guy. I'm never going to be the fake guy. I can't do that.
You won't chill for a little?
Well, who was saying fake?
Well, I mean,
what I just said was, you know, they did a big part of the show of showing the rear and saying Mark Williams and this and that, and they changed hats and shirts and everything. None of that's fake. That's just part of the deal.
I get that. But what if tomorrow Strange wants to give him something? What are they going to do?
Good point.
And then you have to blur that out or hide it.
There's got to be loyalty somewhere. I agree.
Yeah. Well, loyalty.
But what do you do?
Loyalty starts bullshit. I mean, what would I want to do? If somebody said to me, "Who would you want to advertise here?" Summit, Jegs.
Somebody sells everything.
Somebody sells everything.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So if I wanted to talk about somebody's shit, Oliver, and I just
He does that.
If I wanted to, I don't have to worry about alienating an entire sponsor.
I hear you.
Somebody I was irritated with. I don't know. The whole thing kind of sucks, and I'm wrestling with this.
I know, me too.
But whatever. Well,
I still think we can get a brand like Edelbrock. You know, what would who's their competition?
AFR. We just talked about them. We're talking about heads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
And I would never use anything Elderbrock on my vehicle.
Well, that rolls them out right there.
There's nothing they sell.
Well, listen, instead of Street Outlaws, we have been focusing on the real people of the sport, to me. Not saying they're not real people, but maybe not quite the budgets and quite the fanfare. But we've been having the DragWeek guys on. You know, every week we're trying to get another guy.
Mm-hmm.
We've had PJ, Travis, Jason Dozier, and Clark Rosenstengel. Those are the guys that kind of started it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that these guys, they're the guys that are doing it. They're doing it on a budget. They are doing it in their garages. They don't have, somebody handing them sponsor dollars or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like to talk about this because these are the guys that are really doing it at the level that we could all understand. So we have Richard Guido on the phone. Yo, buddy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
He's been a good guy, man. He's been quiet the whole time. So I punched him down earlier, and we've been sitting here bullshitting and just letting him sit there.
Yep.
Thanks, Richard.
So what's up, man? I'm glad Kevin put you in touch with us. I guess start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, your car, how long you've done Drag Week, and just give us your story.
Well, I think I'm about the same age as you clowns, so I'm 48 years old.
You're much younger than Tom.
Well,
Yeah, you are.
Been a Drag Week 4 times. This will be the 5th this year. Every year I seem to go slower and spend more money, which is fantastic. Just about every year my dad's come with me. This year he'll be 75, and he was hinting towards passenger seat again, so he's gonna make it at the age of 75, which is
That's awesome.
always quite entertaining. I drive a 1965 Pontiac GTO. This year's power plant will be a 500 it's like Big Chief, a little different. 517 cubic inch Pontiac, but it'll have a F1C Procharger on it.
All right. So it's a real honest to God Pontiac.
It's just about the same block. Well, it's the same block he runs with Edelbrock heads, actually.
Okay.
He has Elderbrock heads on his car.
There you
too.
go.
does he?
Chief does, yeah. Yeah, it really surprised me. And Tom was like, but he must do something magical in them, the Butler.
Mm.
there's nothing magical you could do to those things.
No.
No, there's
Except
nothing
for
that-
throwing them away.
We really got to just check
We're not
Edelbrock
getting
right off.
Edelbrock on our sponsor list.
The magic is in the boost setting. That's where the magic is. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's about six. Well, it's the same motor I ran last year without the Procharger, so it's about 650, 700 horse. Naturally aspirated, and going to throw 15 pounds of boost at it. Kind of like your podcast 100, where you're talking about everyone has wants to be different so they can have an excuse. Well, it's a stick car. It's got a T56 Magnum in it, so it's a 6-speed. It's got a double overdrive. Cruises down the road at 1,800 RPM, in that range, 70, 80 miles an hour. I don't have a trailer, so I drive all the way from Canada every year, about 5,000 miles.
Oof.
Much like Mike, it's my street car that I'm going to race. So if I don't make it there, well, I know it's not ready. So usually it's 2,000 miles to get there, 1,000 miles to run DragWeek, and then hopefully 2,000 miles to go home.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what I've said. If this is something that I didn't want to jump in and drive that far, I don't know that I'd feel comfortable trying to race it at DragWeek. It's got to do this stuff. I mean, you would get in a street car and drive to California, Florida, whatever. You go. That's what I'd like to look for. But God bless you, man, doing it with a stick.
Does it have synchros? Are you still running the synchro?
Yep.
What trains are you running?
It's a T56 Magnum.
Magnum.
Stock off the shelf. I ran a TKO in 2014, carried a spare in my trunk. 2015, carried a spare in my trunk. I think both years I had used the spares, and they were face plated, I think, in 2014. But yeah, it was breaking lots, but the car's 4,000 pounds.
Oof.
It was 4,070 last year, and I got to put the air to water Procharger, so it'll be slightly north of 4,100 pounds, and usually, dump the clutch at $5,000, and $5,000 at 2,000 miles from home is pretty exciting the first time.
Hell yeah, it is.
Can you do that more than once? I mean,
Well, he's taking spares.
I know, but I would think that should just, at that kind of weight, if it's got traction, I can't even imagine it would take it once.
I can't imagine you thought that 2 TKOs would be enough, because I mean, I think they're only rated at 650 foot-pounds. Your shit must make your car makes that when it's not running.
Yeah. They were both beefed up, cryoed and all that kind of stuff. A girdle on the case.
But it broke gears, right?
Third gear usually.
Yeah, cryo.
Yeah.
Cryo. Yeah, cryo. Yeah.
Stands for cry a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. Yeah, I know. It makes tightens up the molecules. Yeah, okay.
I don't have a spare. I didn't have a spare T56 last year. I don't have one yet this year, but I've never towed a trailer either. But you could fit like 5 dead hookers in the back of that trunk. So usually I had 2 spare tires or the slicks in the trunk, the transmission, multiple tools. I mean, it's a long drive, so when you're driving that far, you need some spare parts. But this year, due to probably running race gas and some other things, I'll probably tow a little trailer so I can empty out the trunk a little.
You bring more transits.
Yeah.
Well, T56 is substantially better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He must have an amazing amount of confidence and a gigantic set of balls to do what he's doing.
No doubt.
Or
I
no
mean,
brain. I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, that too. He just didn't say it. All 3.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that to you.
Well, I mean, Tom knows that in the very beginning of this, one of the first things that I said to him, I said, "Hey, that PGP gearbox guys, could this work?" And you're like, "I don't know, dude."
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you start looking at this stuff and just the shock loading that occurs from a stick car. And, people say, well, that's why, but like, I think we've had this discussion that clutches, slip on a gear change
Right.
to not break the tires loose and to not break parts. That's how real drag clutches are set up. But it's kind of hard to do that and drive it around all day.
No, the street clutch. You're not going to have that much adjustability in it.
No.
I have two. Currently, I'm running a RXT Twin, which I'm actually amazed at that clutch. But I also do have a Rob Youngblood twin disc slider clutch, sintered iron. Yeah, just the joy. Much like Dad's Subaru on the street, screeching at every lights when you got to let it off, and the old ladies are running away. And yeah, it's
On
not
off
the best,
switch.
but it might be what I have to take.
Yeah, the worst thing is people looking at you and they're like, what the hell's wrong with that car? You know, like there's something wrong. And you want to just stop and just stand up and be like, look, it's all on purpose. This thing goes very fast.
It's okay.
I'm not driving a piece of shit.
There's
Not broken.
nothing to see here.
Yeah, I actually wanted to tell you a story about this is probably my this was the second day of my first drag week, and this is kind of drag week to a T. So day one, chatting with this dude, we both got TKOs. He's got a '66 Ford Fairlane. Bill Armstrong's his name, and you know I tell him I got one in the trunk. He's all by himself. Showed up from Colorado. Day two comes around and he's looking for me, finds me. He's like, dude, I think I broke my tranny. And at this point, I'm like, oh, I got a spare. It's a Ford compared to a GM, but we could switch some parts if we had to. And we were walking to his car and he's explaining to me what's going on. And I'm like, man, I don't think it's your tranny. You got something else going on there. So we chat a little bit more, and it sounds to me like either he's welded the disc to the flywheel or the throwout's not working anymore. So we go over to his car. I said, well, let's just jack it up, make sure the throwout bearing's moving the diaphragm. So I don't even think he had a big jack. So we get my jack over there, and I'm pushing it under his car, and he's lining it up underneath, and I start jacking up his car, and he's down on the ground positioning it, and then he looks up at me and he says, man, this thing's got a strong oil pan. And I'm like,
Oh, man.
get myself into. I mean, I don't know this guy from a hole in the ground. And it's like 5 seconds later, he looks up and he goes, I'm just kidding, man. So then, sure enough, the throwout's working fine, and figure the disc must be welded to the flywheel. So we're in the pits in Indy, driving around like yahoos, trying to dump the clutch and trying everything to break it free. Well, we can't break it free, so we make a few phone calls, find a tranny place. It's probably, I don't know what it was, 15 blocks away or something, and we decide that he's gonna drive it there. We're gonna follow him, and we're gonna go to this tranny place and try to change it in the parking lot. Now it's 103 degrees out. My dad had got heat stroke the day before. He's looking at me like, I just want to get to the hotel and get to the next place because we still got like 6 hours of driving left, and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. But we follow Bill, and he's driving this thing like a champ. So he's got to shut it off every time he comes up to the intersection, use the starter to get it running again, and then match gears and shift without the clutch every time. And I can't tell that he's doing anything different than normal. Looks like he pulls up to the red light, stops, gets going again, and so we go all the way to this transmission place, and we go in and talk to those guys, and like I said, it's 103 degrees outside. We're looking for shade. There's a car wash right beside it. I go in and talk to the guys running the car wash, and I'm like, listen, this is the deal. We need some shade. We got to change the clutch in this car. And we're on this thing called Hot Rod Drag Week, and instantly the guy says, my dad did that. His dad actually had done the power tour, but anyways, he let us use it. So we spent the day with this stranger changing his clutch in a car wash. And it was that disc. We had to use like a pry bar to get the disc off the flywheel. Then we had to use just an air tool to try to clean up the flywheel enough so that we could keep going. But Bill Armstrong's been a buddy for life after that trip. I mean,
that's awesome.
I'm thinking of going down to Colorado this year. There's another event called Rocky Mountain Race Week.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of gig as hot rods, but so my plan this year is to do both. So hopefully I don't break it at that one before Drag Week because it's in July. But
yeah, the Rocky Mountain one, people have been talking about that. I think Kevin was bringing that up to me. That sounds like fun. That sounds like something. But I guess this answers a question, Tom. We were talking about, well, because I'll have to say this again because I don't think it's sunk in everybody. I'm a retard. I don't know where anything is. I mean, like, if you tell me I know certain places, like I could point to them on the map, but like when somebody says Wisconsin, I have to look at the map and say, is that on that side of the big watery thing? I'm not real good at this just because I never went anywhere. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, another state's another zip code or a shipping address. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure out like what the temperature's like, because in September here, it ain't going to be 100, but apparently it could be 100 where those guys are going to be.
Apparently it can be. I told you that. We got to, you were thinking it's going to be 50 degrees all the time.
Small radiator, don't need a big
one. The radiator doesn't matter. That's a done discussion.
All solved.
Yeah. We fixed that.
Fixed.
Is the air conditioning going to work?
Everything's going to work.
Everything's going to work, yeah.
Okay.
Everything.
And we're going to be using it.
You'll enjoy air conditioning.
Yeah.
Especially for the guy sleeping in the passenger seat when he's supposed to be helping you guide you through the country.
We're going to use the air conditioning even if the top's down, just because we can.
Oh.
Right?
I don't care.
I know.
Cool in the great
Don't
outdoors.
matter to me. Now, I got to ask about the trip, like going from point A to point B. That's always a good one, and we always ask people about this. Oh, I mean, what's your experience? Getting lost, wrong turns, takes you 10 times longer than you think? Tell me what the trip itself was like.
So the other thing I was going to describe for you is a typical day. So usually you're up at some ungodly hour, 6 or 7 o'clock, so you can get to the track or eat some food, maybe, before you get to the track. You get to the track, you change your car over to street trim. This is day 2 because day 1's a total disaster. And then, you try to get ready. They run the class cars first. So the first 2 hours from hopefully 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock are all the class cars. And then there's that street eliminator class. They'll run them from 10 till noon. And then if us wingnuts didn't get the time we wanted, you have to wait till noon to make more passes. So from noon till like 2-ish, you can make more passes. Anybody can. It's kind of a free fall at that point. But ideally, you go out there, you run your 8:50:05, and then you go up, hand your time slip in. They give you a map. Depending on if you're traveling with other people or not, you have to wait for them to change their car back to street trim, and then you head out on the road. Sometimes you get lunch, and then you go if everything's going okay. And
so on a good day that you made a satisfying run, how long? I mean, what time do you actually leave the track?
Noon.
Okay.
If you're lucky, that's a great day.
And then if you got to drive 200 miles, why does it take 6 hours?
Well, it's 200. I think they're trying to balance it out now, so it's about 250 miles. It's usually about 50 miles an hour, and then you got to stop. And each one of these stops, if you leave the same time as everybody else, it's usually packed, and there's people all over the place, and people doing trailer burnouts, and of course you got to bullshit with all these people, and there's people broken down, and it's just typically one thing after another. And it matters too whether you're traveling with a group or not. If you're by yourself, you might be able to make good time. But you guys sound like car guys, so when there's 3 guys pulled over on the side of the road and you can't see any of them, then typically you pull over and see if you can help. Like last year, it's probably 10 o'clock at night. Larry Dixon's clan was pulled over to the side of the road. There was 4 of them. I think there was 3 or 4 cars there. Most DragWeekers who've been there before will give you a thumbs up if they're good, and you just keep on trucking. If you don't see them, usually you pull over and see if there's, if you have a part or you can lend them a hand. So this time I was leading about 4 or 5 cars. I pull over, and of course all my buddies pull over, which is usually a big hazard anyways. We walk back there and we can't find anybody. We realize they're down in trees, and there's a swath cut all the way down in the trees, and it's like, what the fuck? And there's a trailer down there, and it's disconnected itself from the car.
Oh,
trees. So
that sucks.
We go down there. We form this little line. We empty out the trailer, push the trailer back up. The hitch is the home fabricated hitch is broke in half. One of the guys, Derek Mueller, that's with me, he's got a receiver. We take the ball off the broken hitch. We take my tires. We put it on the Jeep. We put the trailer behind my car. Go it to the next checkpoint where it's safe, because it wasn't safe where we were. And so, all of a sudden you just killed an hour and a half. And you still got, another 2 hours to go.
Okay, if you were a social misfit and didn't want to stop and talk to anybody, how long would it take to get from point A to point B?
I would say you can average 50 miles an hour.
Okay. All right. So this now we get to and I'm not saying, look, I'd love to paint myself as, driving by, waving at everybody, hey, beep, beep, just keep, I'm not that guy, but that's why some of this is taking the time that it is, because there's other things involved that not necessarily just the route. So that kind of makes a little more sense. Because I was trying to figure this out. If it was like 250 to 300 miles, I mean, I think Tom said it. Well, if you're going 600, if it takes you 6 hours, what are you going, 30 miles an hour as an average?
Yep.
That'd be kind of hard to do.
Well, you saw the picture of the Corvette with the hood up in the traffic, so. The car that didn't overheat.
Yeah, I'm not going to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, and then, then you get comfortable and you think, oh, we're going to stop, have a nice lunch for an hour, and then you get back on the road and some shitty thing happens,
Yeah.
Pulled over by a cop.
I mean, the way that I would handle this is that if I was okay, like if I didn't have anything that was like crawling around my head that I had to fix or something I had to do, I'd stop and help anybody. I think it would be fine to do that. What are you shaking your head no for, Tom?
I was not shaking my head no, dickhead.
I would absolutely stop to help people. I think that would be kind of cool. But if I was having an issue and needed to get to the next place to stay for the evening and I needed to fix my issue, sorry guys, world's full of problems and I got one.
Like taking a shit.
Yeah.
You had to really take a shit.
Well, I mean,
that was actually me last year, because I had a guy from Australia, guy from Montana, and of course me, the Canadian. And the guy from Australia brought some Ebola disease that I don't know what the hell was going on. He's coughing and hacking while we're following some Mennonites in a little horse-drawn carriage. And it's like, holy shit, this is not good. And then, so he was supposed to ride with us the whole trip. Scott Taylor was his name, and he bailed out that hotel that night because he was sicker than a dog. And then the next day, Dan Nissen, my best co-pilot there, he went down with it, and it was like 30 degrees, but 100 degrees Fahrenheit out, and he's in a coat wrapped up in a blanket lying on the grass beside my car. So it was the same thing. I had to, I couldn't stay and help Derek with a head ripped off, and like time to get him to the next hotel room.
let me ask you a question. Is there a time you have to be at the checkpoints? Like, do the checkpoints close at a certain time?
No. You just got to be, I'm sure they close. Well, there is nobody there. Like, there is no hot rod person there. There's none of that. You have to take a picture with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You hand in your time slip on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see the pictures from day 1. So there's nobody at the checkpoints, but there's people somewhere out there keeping an eye on people.
But
so there isn't like a hot rod person waiting at the checkpoints to make sure you're there.
So realistically, if one was very confident in their car and they went to the track and they made a good pass, they could just kind of blow out and go back to the hotel and hang out and head out to go to the next place at like 9:00 at night, right? Weather's cooler. That's all us, dude.
Hey, the first year, my brother hit both walls in his Mustang on the 3rd day. And, so we went to the junkyard for tires. We went to some guy's house and straightened out his upper control arm with a press. And we didn't get out of there till 8 or 9 at night. And we ended up cruising with Tom Bailey and those guys. And it was fantastic, actually, because it was so much cooler at night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had Finnegan from Hot Rod Magazine riding with us, and we had a great time. And it was actually much better driving at night. So yeah, you can absolutely do that route too.
I'm the guy that leaves to go to Florida at like 9 at night.
Me too.
So I spend the most time I can driving at midnight.
Sure, it's best time to do it. But also,
wildlife can be a challenge, though. We've had guys hit armadillos, all kinds of messed up shit.
Well, I think the best scenario for us would be to, if you make some hits and you're okay, and you if you pass somebody who needs help, you help them. If you don't, you get to the hotel early, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you can tell the guys that usually get to the hotel early. Like in 2013 and 14, they're by the time we got to the hotel every time, they were loaded. So
yeah. See, I am such a loser. I am not going to fit in with some of these guys at all.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not going to drink. I'm not smoking any funny cigarettes.
Yeah.
No, and our crew never did either. It was always funny because you pull in you're dead tired and sober, and it's like, how long have these guys been here? But
you're going to be in Colorado.
No, that's Wisconsin
in July. That's the plan.
Yeah, I think my plan would be get a couple good passes, blow out from the track, go back to the hotel, chill out, watch TV, do whatever, sleep if you really feel like you need it. See, my schedule's so wacky. I mean, almost every night or morning, I'm up at like 3 a.m. because I have to talk to people from an overseas location. Those locations, I happen to know where they are, at least what time it is. Then I go back to sleep and I get back up again. And there's all kinds of screwiness in my schedule. I'll stay up whenever. A little bit of sleep here, a little bit of sleep. I think I'm down with that. Everything from temperature to everything at night. That's pretty cool.
That'd be my route too.
As long as you have a picture of both those checkpoints, and you stayed en route, or nobody caught you going off route, then you're good to go. There's no issue there.
All right,
cool.
So you're definitely going to keep doing it.
So I'm I can tell you're gonna, by the time you leave the track on day one, you'll be worked up. You'll be entertaining. And Freiberger I'll guarantee you, this will be his first line that he says when he gets on the mic. He'll say, "This is the largest group of cars that didn't run yesterday," and he's so true in many ways, because I actually haven't had many problems on DragWeek, but leading up to DragWeek is when I break all my shit, and then I get it running at the last minute. Your engine guy gets sick, or he has a issue in his family, or all that stuff is what usually gets in my way.
Well, I want to put a good beating on mine before it goes anywhere. And I mean, almost to the point that I don't know if it needs to get beaten on badly enough that you got to go through it just to make sure everything's okay. But I really want to try to put my best foot forward in this first shot. And unlike Tom, I kid around about it, and Tom kids around about it. I think that with the group of competitors we have there, it's going to be very hard to win. I don't think it's going to be easy. But
it's hard for all of them.
I think the only way I consider it a fail is if we can't complete it. That's really going to bug me. I would like to be as close as possible to 850, because some of this is going to be learning what it really takes to make this car, being familiar with the car. Like you were talking about your bracket guys. They know to get the car certain temperature, this, that, everything else, and then bam, they can dial within a couple thousands. I don't think no matter how much time we have with this thing, we're going to be able to figure it out quite that good. But we'll see.
Yeah, 158 days.
Okay. Got a counter.
Wow. We will see.
That's the counter.
All right. Gotcha, man. All right. Well, anybody want to plug, say thanks to for helping, or anything else you want to share?
Muscle Motors was the one who built this motor that they're just freshening it up, getting ready for boost. They're a Canada company. My brother's going to be coming with another guy named Pat Miker. There'd be lots of good Canadian guys.
Yay.
No, I think I pretty much covered it all.
All right. Fantastic.
Cool.
Well, again, Rich has been a listener for a long time.
Yep.
Always been on there and appreciate the listening. And we hope this helps get the DragWeek story out, specifically about you guys. Yeah. So that's awesome.
And we hope they keep coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look forward to seeing the Corvette make some passes.
Yep. Do I have to talk to you? Can we just talk with him?
I'll talk. Rich, I'll talk to you.
He's going to roll the window down. Hey, okay, see you the next track.
All right, really, Rich, thank you very much, and thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you.
I don't think these people realize it. Like if I go out of the house, I wear like those rubber gloves and shit.
I know they don't. They have no idea what they're getting into.
No, I'm not that bad.
Here's a real quick question.
Yeah.
Through all the years of drag racing and all that stuff, what you always call it making a run, hot laps, stuff like that. Everybody's starting to make a hit now.
Okay.
Is that
I
all
think
coming
it's
out of
been
405?
called a hit as long as I can remember.
Yeah, me too.
I never use the term hit. Run.
Because you hung out with all the import guys. You were always a little
I didn't.
behind the times.
You're kidding me.
You were
That's
your
sport
fart
with the
can on
66 Nova and stuff like that.
Fart
That's
can on your Subaru.
Sport.
Yeah, sport.
Sport.
I've always heard
But your other Cobra Jet buddy. So.
called a hit.
Yeah.
Always.
Same.
I don't know. The Richard Guido, that's a pretty neat deal. Real Pontiac.
Yep.
Big Pontiac.
You know what I didn't ask him?
Nope.
What I wonder, see, they got this class thing. There's Super Street, and it's like small block power adder, big block power adder. How do they do this? Because it seems like Super Street all goes 850. So did they just divide up who won in the subclass of the class? But I mean, they all go the same time, right?
Why, is it a bracket race?
No. Well, it's a permanent
like an
dial.
index.
Yeah, it's
It's
exactly
an index race.
Yeah.
Well,
850.
I know our 850 is an index race, but what are you talking about?
Well, there's subgroups of that class.
Oh, I don't know.
Small block power adder, big block power adder, and I think the number's like 430 inch or some shit. It switches over. I didn't really look at it because we ain't there.
Oh, so it's just different rules that get to run 850.
Yeah, I think it's just so that you're running maybe against like people, like maybe they award 2 first place winners. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was just that they don't want.
This might come as a
just win your
shock to you,
class,
but
I guess,
I haven't been there before.
No, I just think they don't want people to come there with a 790 car to run 850.
Yeah, but if you can run
Dial it
Super
down.
Street with a big motor in that class, Super Street power adder,
Mhm.
I'll refresh myself.
They have a
with the
problem
rules.
with the you can't have a halo. You if you do, then you have to run a higher class.
Right. I don't know.
430 is the break, he said. So he's definitely, and it was Rich chiming back in. So he's well above
Mhm.
and we'll be well under. That's why I said I didn't pay a lot of attention to
Mhm.
it because I knew we weren't going to be there much as I would like to be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dave, what else
Yes,
you
sir.
got, buddy? How did they get you? How did they find you? What are your specialties?
Headgamesmotorworks.com.
Mhm.
And you can go to sales at headgamesmotorworks.com. You can reach me on the Facebook, but not my personal Facebook. Hit me up on the Head Games Facebook, Head Games Motorworks, or just give me a call, 609-882-3211, and leave a message.
What's the mainstay of you guys? Like, what is your
My number one is Subarus,
Subarus? Okay.
followed by 2Js,
Okay.
and then Vipers are actually
Really?
creeping into the number 3.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Gen 5 Vipers, Gen 4 and 5. I hate porting them, so I got it digitized. I'm never going to port another Gen 4 or 5 head again. They take way too long. That's way too labor intensive for me.
Well, let's got extra ports, so
Yeah, and there's just so much meat that comes out of them. So I got them digitized. We're getting them CNC'd, and followed by GTRs. We do a lot of GTR stuff. My average guy is like a 600 horsepower turbo guy, up to 2,500 horsepower.
Mhm.
And breaking records and all that stuff. That's something that we enjoy to do.
Hell yeah.
On the Subaru stuff, like the dipshit Cletus's thing here, how much do they seem to pick up if you go entirely through the heads?
It depends on the power level to begin with.
Like 500-ish?
500. We would only do like a pocket port.
Yeah.
So a pocket port guides, stock size valve job. It'll pick it up like 30 CFM on the intake, 30 to 40 on the intake, and 20 to 30 on the exhaust,
Okay.
depending on the dog leg or the straight port. But I would never like fully port them. That's something that I know a lot of shops, they don't really have they don't have a grinder. They don't have anybody that can do that kind of stuff. They send it out and they get it digitized, or they CNC stuff. So everything they do is fully ported, oversized valves. Doesn't matter the power range, and there's definitely not a one size fits all for that kind of deal.
Yeah. All
So that goes right back to what we're talking about with the area of the curve.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to continue this whole head conversation. I mean, look, I got the L92s. We could look at something else. I mean, I don't know.
I have a flow bench.
hope so.
You can come by. I could show you. You can also Google that kind of stuff.
I think
though.
we're overthinking it.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Just push the button on the dashboard that says 850 and just go.
Just turn the boost up like Flood says.
Turn the boost knob. That's all you got to do.
Just sit there and have the faster or slower knob as you're going down a track. I think
That's
I'm
it.
good. I think I'm bad. I think I'm good. It will be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Anyway.
All right.
A real pleasure to have you. I'm so sorry. pleasure to be on this show. I really appreciate it. And the listeners too, man. It's been awesome. You guys,
you want to
hit
send
me up.
smooches out to anybody before we get signed
Smooches
off?
from afar.
At
to
least
all my fans.
especially to Don Summerton.
Don Summerton.
All right.
And that
Fantastic.
sweet cheeks he's got.
Oh, God, no.
All right. We're going to end this before this gets a little in a direction that I'm not too comfortable with.
It's okay.
All right. So we'll be back again next Monday night. Thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah.
See ya.
Toodles.